before you do it.
Exactly.
She's like, no, your paper should say X, Y, and Z. Forget what it says. And you should work on X, Y, and Z.
I mean, there's a reason I'm his wife.
Alright, so I mean, we kind of see that there's things that we can certainly work on. I mean, for most of us, we may not be at 9s and 10s everywhere, and that's perfectly fine. That's just the way we evolve as human beings, and at any given periods of our life. Sometimes we can be at really high periods, and other times, we kind of find ourselves at a lower period. But so it's always good to kind of check in and see, where am I? For example, when I first left Goldman Sachs, I was really pumped about starting, and some of you might know this, I started a yoga and holistic health type practice where I was teaching yoga, not only teaching yoga, but also just holding workshops on ways to live holistically, and just to be able to, and working with a lot of children and kids, and then some even like moms and things like that, where it was pretty cool. But I got to a point where I went up to probably about an 8 in that scale, and I found I was kind of like maxing out at that point. I felt like there was still something that I was missing. As much as I love working with people, as much as I enjoy it, there's still a component to me that was missing. And so what I said was, there's something more to this. And what I really enjoyed helping people out with, not necessarily their physical challenge, I really enjoyed working with people to help overcome their more like mental and emotional challenges that they're facing. And so, this is how I ended up with this company, but it's kind of an interesting story. It was like where there was no job posting for the company that I've been working for. There's nothing that was out there. I'd taken a trip to India, kind of a sabbatical after this realization for me. When I realized I was at 8, I got pretty depressed. I was like, man, I gave up a really well-paying job. I'm in this place, but I'm still not in this place where I feel like I'm happy, where I feel like I'm content. And so I took a little bit of a sabbatical, went to India, came back, and I started really questioning myself and saying, maybe I was on the right path, and maybe I should go back to doing some of the work in IT audit that I was doing. And I know it sounds exciting, but it was, and if you're auditors here, I mean, it's all personality based. It's just my personality is not the type that can really go with that. But in essence, I came back and I started looking for jobs, and I got pretty successful in terms of getting to the second round, third round interviews. But at that point, I really just couldn't sell myself to the employer, because the passion that was supposed to be there wasn't there. It was like I was doing it just to kind of show my face there, but not necessarily, with full energy or full backing of my resources. So one day I got frustrated and I said, you know what? I thought to myself, what is something similar process before soon after I found my wife. That's when I had known my wife at that point already for some time. We had been in contact, so I asked myself, what's the ideal job if I can have it? What's something that if I knew that I can achieve it and be able to get there without failure, if there's no option for failure, what can I do? So I looked up, I thought to myself, maybe some sort of training in communications or some sort of job where I can work with people, with their emotional, mental challenges involved. A lot of people have a fear of public speaking. And that's one thing I felt like, I can help people with this. I've done a lot of practice in my life where I can help and coach and train. And so I just Googled, once again, Google Baba. I found and he answered my questions, and I just looked up communications training in New York. Found like a list of 20 companies, 20 to 25 companies. Contacted all of them. I basically called them up and said, where's the opportunity? I'm calling in because I want to see if there's any opportunities for or a trainer or a consultant for your team, and just wondering to see if there's any potential opportunity there. I really would like to work for your team. I saw your website and this and that. And in that process, I was narrowed down to, I think, 5 companies actually came back to me, and 2 were more serious about it. And then the one that the Leaders Institute, I actually ended up calling one of the sales folks, and he said, you know what, I'm not the right person to talk to. Talk to our CEO, Doug, and I'm thinking, man, this is the CEO of the company. I'm going to give him a call. I'm sure he's pretty busy and whatnot, but let me give him a call anyway. So I called him up, and we got talking. It just so happened that he was looking for somebody in this New York area. Somebody had just left from this area, and there was a big gap because we cover regions, so to speak. So he was willing to actually train me and be able to get me associated with, because since I have the transferable skills, so to speak, of working with audiences and folks and whatnot, he's like, you know what, I could probably, you may not be the perfect candidate, but I think that you could, if just with a little bit of training, pick yourself up there, and we'll see how you do. And so he brought me in, trained me up a little bit, and over the next 5-6 months, I got better at it, and really embraced the role. Really got a chance to. I've gotten to work with people that are in C-level positions, state representatives, a lot of folks that are just, believe it or not, have this fear, even though they're in high positions of speaking in front of public or audiences. And so the idea is, finding that opportunity. Once you define what is it that you wanted, it wasn't the IT audit job that I was really wanting. It was more that I just asked myself, what is it that I really wanted? And once I defined it, now set up a step to get there. Finding a way to get there. Same thing how I met my wife. I just kind of defined in my life what is it that I wanted, who I wanted to meet, and even though I was an outcast at that point in my family, who I wanted to meet, and move forward. So we'll come back and we'll kind of work through that exercise a little bit, and just to help define for ourselves how we can go forward with that. Okay. So let's take about a 10-minute break. Let's get back. It's about 3:23. So let's come back around